Alright, hello everybody, welcome to another Warframe video, and today we're gonna check out a weird yet wonderful setup for Protea that focuses primarily on her turrets. However, before we jump into the mod, I want to do a little bit of a showcase as well as an explanation as to how the build works, because if you don't know how the build works, the mod setup doesn't make an awful lot of sense. So the build works on a sort of a loop. The first thing you need to do is get at least 75 energy to be able to use our third ability, the Dispensary. You then want to place down your Dispensary and kill something which will damage you through the combat discipline aura. Now this will allow you to then pick up the empowered health orb from the Dispensary, which will then give you 110 energy through equilibrium, which allows you to then place down turrets which will kill stuff, damage you further, which allows you to pick up more empowered health orbs, and so on and so on and so on, granting you essentially infinite energy as well as healing. Pretty cool, eh? So here's what the setup looks like. It requires two Forma where you add a dash and a D, but you could actually go even further with this and put on Umbral mods, which will give you even more power. So the aura we're going to use here is of course combat discipline, which damages you every time you kill something, which is very important so that we can always pick up health orbs and get energy from them via equilibrium, and it also makes your allies heal when they kill something, so it's a nice supportive aura if you can pull it off. Then we're gonna go with primed continuity and ogre message, which will make our grenades and dispensary last longer so we don't have to spam them too often, and even though it doesn't make your turrets last any longer, it does help them because the more duration you have, the more shots they're gonna fire in their 3-second window. Then we're gonna put on intensify, power drift, and ogre secret for a decent amount of strength, which just makes your turrets do more damage, it makes your grenades do more damage, and I feel like sometimes it makes the dispensary dispense 2 orbs instead of 1. Then we have pretty much the most important mod here, which is equilibrium, which makes health orbs restore energy and energy orbs restore health, and then we also need to store that energy, so I personally went with primed flow. Now you could go with efficiency here instead to get cheaper abilities, but I found having a bigger stockpile of energy was generally better. And then we of course need some defense, and I personally went with adaptation for the damage reduction as well as vitality, which is very important because if you don't have vitality, you're just gonna fall over from combat discipline. And finally, I also have arcane grace, which does trigger from the damage you take from combat discipline. I tested it many times, and it sort of helps keep you alive when you're not picking up health or energy orbs. And I also put on arcane nullifier, which helps prevent some magnetic proc so that I don't lose all my energy. Now if you're thinking, man, I don't have arcane grace because it's too expensive, it's not a big deal, okay? Arcane grace is just there for when you're not doing what this build is supposed to do, which is basically just sit on top of your dispensary and constantly heal with the orbs. It's just there so that when you're doing something like an exterminate and you're not sitting on top of your dispensary, you don't slowly bleed to death as you kill enemies. And it can actually sometimes be counterproductive because it can heal you before you're able to pick up the first health orb to kickstart the loop. So you can still put the build together even if you don't have Arcane Grace, and you can even substitute it with something like Arcane Victory and then heal yourself by hitting headshots. Now when it comes to the amount of damage this setup can do, it's not like Siren levels of oh my god everything is melting, but it's not bad. It kind of depends on how active you are, because you can also use the grenades to get some extra slash in there, which stacks very nicely on top of the heat, but actually primarily based on whether or not you're proccing viral on the enemy, whether that be yourself with the weapon or with, like for example, the new micro rocket weapon you can get for a companion from legs. Because proccing viral on the enemy, especially if you can reliably get it up to 10 however you do it, takes this setup from, yeah, that's kinda neat to, oh, that's some nice damage right there. I don't want to bullshit you out here though, this setup is not as powerful as a lot of other setups out there, whether it be for Protea or for other frames, but what it is fun, for me at least. I thought the turrets were very cool when I first tested them, so I wanted to make a build around them, and here it is. So if you like the idea of just throwing out turrets everywhere, definitely give this setup a shot, because it is really fun and it does do a decent amount of damage. And that is pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you some other time. Bye bye.